Blood for the blood gods, calls for the throne of corn. Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. Once again, it is time for a shoulder day. So we started with upright rows. I feel like on these I went up in weight, and now that I see the footage after, I didn't get these quite as high as I would like. So I think realistically I may drop the weight back down a hair. Focus on getting a little bit higher, a little bit better squeeze at the top. Overall, the bottom's good, and these were pretty well to failure. Like I went to kind of pull a rep after the 10th one each time, and it wouldn't move. And then the third one, I actively, you saw it, try to move. It moved a few inches, and I failed the rep. So these were to failure. But again, looking at this, I feel like I would get a little bit higher if I drop the weight back down, right? Get a little bit higher if I drop the weight back down. And I feel like, when I watch these with the straight bar, I get better range of motion with that easy curl bar, just using the smaller plates. So I think that might be the way I need to go on this. So I think next week on this, now that I've kind of observed the two, I do feel like I get a better range of motion. And I do want to get that higher range of motion at the top. So even if it comes at the expense of some weight, because even these, the 95 for 10s, obviously felt good, it felt decent, but I'm just not happy with that contraction at the top, and I'm not sure if it's the combination of the weight or the wrist angles. So I think when I grabbed that easy bar with that little bit of curl to it, I was just able to get a little bit better contraction at the top. So I think, again, that's what we want to do. But right there, that last rep, I tried to get one more, and it just completely missed. So up next, we did laterals. Today I did dumbbells. I messed with plates last week because I used to do plates. I'm like, I don't think I need plates. Let's just stick with the dumbbells. Now, I was only able to get around 10 to 11 reps. It varied a little from set to set using the 28-pound dumbbells, and that's okay. Felt really, really good shoulder activation. All right, felt the good shoulder activation, so I'm happy with that. And again, one of those exercises where I'm trying to go pretty strict on these, minimize cheating, and then we're failing there, right? So that was actually muscle failure. I always get people who are like, when I do stuff to failure, because they're like, you're at 5 reps left, and I just kind of laugh because I'm like, no, I really don't. So I'm going to do stuff more of on camera to where you guys can get the rep counts and realize I'm doing sets to failure. So I'll do ones to where I exaggerate it and try to actually physically do a rep that I know that I can't get. And so again, we'll see a little more of that. So like we saw on that set, these I took them a little more slowed down. And I actually think I got one more rep on that one than what I did on the one to failure. But again, I felt like I just left it at 0 reps in reserve, yet I still got more reps. But the other thing is there was a very, very short break between that and the upright row, so that can affect performance. So maybe that 2 minutes instead of that 1 minute picked me up a rep there. And I think the same thing here, I think ended up getting around 11-ish, something in that range. I kind of lose count a little bit, right? And I'm trying to pick weights where I know roughly where I'm going to fail. So sometimes people are like, when you're doing 10s, how come you'll get 10 on 3 in a row? It's like because I'm picking weights that I know are right around a 10 rep max. Right. And then we did front raises. And again, these were right around 12 reps per set with a 45-pound plate. And yes, I like front raises. I'm going to continue to do them. I think we need the extra upper chest and front delt work. But the thing is, I do twice as much side delt work, obviously. And then, of course, we isolate rear delts. Now, keeping in mind, even with the rear delt isolation, what are we doing? Well, we're just making up for whatever we don't get, because again, all these side delt movements hit rear delts. All my rowing and pull-ups hit rear delts. They are being worked, but feel like getting 3 sets of isolation is not a bad idea. And I think most of the muscles would benefit from a little bit of isolation. Even rear delts, if you're doing plenty of rowing, you're doing plenty of side delts, in theory, they're getting a lot of work. But again, it's just a little bit of insurance policy to make sure that we're working them fully. Same thing even with the front raise. I think front raises bring a lot to the table in terms of both aesthetics and strength, right? I think they're valuable for improving your bench, valuable for improving your incline, right? And so I enjoy doing them, so I'm going to continue to do them. And again, I know people feel they're redundant, but if that were the case, I don't know, why do so many powerlifting champions and bodybuilding champions both? They do swear by them. And I understand what people mean by redundancy. But keep in mind, guys, just because we've worked a muscle doesn't mean we should never isolate it. Right? Doesn't make a lot of sense. And I get that front delts get a lot of work, but this works other aspects and other muscles besides just the front delt. But I happen to like it. I'm going to continue to do it, and people can get over it. And then we did 3 sets for rear delts. I like to do them on the incline bench more often than not. And again, the reason here, because it could really force you to isolate them a little bit more. So I try to turn my pinkies up also. And I take these to failure. I lose count. It's somewhere like 16, 18 reps, 19, something like that. At a point, I just don't count. I just go as it burns and then try to get to where I do a rep that just misses at the bottom. But yeah, when I'm using the little light plates, it tends to be a lot of reps, and that's okay because it's a smaller finesse movement. So I'm not as worried about it. We just get in and get the work done. Right? Get in and get the work done. So, final set here. Is it the final set? No, it's not. This is like the second set. My bad. I'm looking at the footage ahead. So yeah, right, 16 plus reps on all this, but I don't know what the upper threshold is. Was 19 or 20 or something on one of the sets, and I quite frankly don't care. This is an exercise I'm just going to tend to high rep because otherwise I'm just going to cheat like crazy even more. So I'm just trying to again focus on getting some isolation for that posterior delt, finish it off, make sure that it's growing. Obviously arms are still my highest priority, but they get the most work. Of course, I've had some people argue that maybe I don't need that much volume, and sometimes I buy into that, but I'm like, no, I don't think that's the answer. We need to keep the volume high. Hard sets of what we're going to failure or very, very close to. And so again, with the delts in general, yeah, I'm only doing 12 sets for my shoulders. Why? Because I do a lot of pushing and a lot of pulling every week. It's a lot. But 12 sets should be enough to finish them off of direct work, particularly with half of it being very side delt dominant. But even then, even this hits the side delt, right? The rear delt raise hits the side delt. Pretty well confirmed in research. Then I decided let's go ahead and do some traps and some neck. So I went ahead and did shrugs. Did just 3 sets of these. You got 15 reps. And yeah, I know the loose skin isn't the best in this shot today, and that's okay. As we drop a little bit of water now that carbs are lower, it will probably tighten up a little bit, especially as it gets warmer too and I start sweating more. So not a big deal. But 15 reps, I think I got around 15 on all of them. So again, my grip is improved because being able to hold this without straps for 15 is fairly new. There was a time when I was struggling for 10 with this. So again, we know the grip is improving again, getting my grip strength back up, which we need for all the deadlifting. So all this strapless pulling is really my solution to that. All right, that's my solution. So the question also becomes, why bother with the traps with all the other work I do? Just because, again, I feel like a little more trap wouldn't hurt. It would be different if my delts are severely lagging or not severely lagging. They do need to come up. But again, there is something to be said for having a little bit of upper trap. You want a certain look. Also good for your squatting, gives you a better shelf to set the bar on. And then this week also, now that my neck is starting to do considerably better, I'm like, well, let's go ahead and work the neck extensions back in. But I decided to keep the reps at 10. Like instead of trying to push towards 15 or more, we don't need to go to failure like that. Let's just get 10 quality reps, get a little bit of neck strengthening in, get some blood flow to there, and continue to get that crick in my neck from sleeping resolved. So again, just did 10s with these, didn't try to push towards 16, 20 or whatever like I've done sometimes. And I noticed with the really short breaks here, it's just the third set was still really difficult anyways. Plus keep in mind this hits the upper traps. You guys know why we do neck extensions. I've discussed it many times. There'll be reels and shorts up later on it. So again, just taking the 55, doing 3 sets of 10, just to finish everything off, make sure the neck and the upper traps get worked a little bit. Because again, I need the neck health, and I've got my sleeping situation finally resolved there. And then of course I finish up with a set of hanging leg raises, which we do most workouts for the extra ab work, the extra grip training. It's an all around good exercise. I try to do a set at the end of most workouts. So I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.